Hello and welcome to this special episode of Blood on the Thames, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play podcast and live stream. During this very short break between books 1 and 2 of the Chronicle, we're going to release 4 special episodes of the podcast, each detailing the embrace of one of the members of the coterie. It's worth noting that these were recorded prior to the release of Vampire's 5th edition, and use the 20th anniversary rulebook, for the astute amongst you that notice that something seems a little odd. However, the events are wholly canonical, and nothing has changed about these characters with the introduction of the new edition.
And finally, welcome to the death of Benjamin Green.
So, in the wake of your meeting with Edmund Sinclair, true to his word, he has purchased a multitude of your paintings and put them up in his gallery. And the attention that you're receiving has increased exponentially. You are now someone that is discussed in the circles that you like to hear your name discussed. And you're invited to more of these events and you begin socializing more with Edmund. And it's nice, it's good, it's you're beginning to become recognized. And the next time that you come to one of these large gatherings, there is not just people there sitting critiquing and then moving on. There's people there that are there not just to see your art, but to see you and to speak to you. And Edmund, always at your side at these things, his arm draped around you, is there introducing you in earnest. There's some figures that you know by name, otherwise they're just people that are there that are interested in art and they recognize your art for the same reasons that he does, and he's explaining the brilliance behind it and then encouraging you to do the same. And whilst it's sometimes a little uncomfortable, just the sheer volume of attention, and a little wearying as well when these events can last all night, there's something good about it. There's something encouraging and something that's it makes you feel more confident than you've been, and for a period of time, all thoughts of the individual vanish. At least surface thoughts. At least actively thinking of him. But he remains in your art, and these seems to be the ones that Edmund is particularly interested in. And then, at one point, a couple of weeks after meeting Edmund, you receive a phone call just after dusk, and you hear him speaking. It's Benjamin.
Oh, Edmund, hello.
Yes, I was hoping to catch you. I know that the plan was for you to come over tonight. However, I am quite preoccupied. I did want to, however, discuss something with you.
Yes?
And it's quite a big matter, and it's unfortunate it's happening over the phone, but, matters being what they are. I have had some curious things go on that required me to go to one of my larger exhibits down in London. Now, I understand, obviously, that this would make things difficult for, not impossible for the purchasing of your art, and obviously introducing you to individuals that can help further your career. However, I was also curious. Have you ever considered a trip, either a temporary one or perhaps a move to London itself?
No, but I mean, that's not to say that it wouldn't be a thing I might consider. I mean, it would put me closer to family, and I don't. Well, you've always been. What do you think about a trip like that, Evan?
Well, personally, I think it would be in the interest of your career and to help encourage our blossoming relationship for you to come with me. Actually, this is kind of what I was hoping. I mean, I know obviously in terms of expenses, it's a consideration, but if I was to encourage you not to think of those things as problems for you to deal with, if I was to help fund your coming down here.
I mean, that would be incredibly generous of you.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think I'd be a fool to say no, wouldn't I? I mean, yes, yeah, that would be, of course. If you think it's the right thing, then of course.
I understand, obviously, this is quite a big decision to be made in such a short time. However, I do have more people down in London who are interested in your art, and to be honest, I think half of the experience of your art is in the meeting of the artist himself. So, whilst I am advocating that you come down with me. I understand if you need a few nights to think it over. But rest assured, if it's monetary concerns you're worried about, I have you covered on that front.
Oh, I mean, that's extremely generous. I think we get. I don't normally make spur of the moment decisions, but you've done me right so far, Edmund. Yes, of course I'll come. I'd be delighted to.
Well, I will send someone over to provide you with the information as to where we can meet next. Unfortunately, I'm going to be unreachable for the next 2 or 3 days, and hopefully it'll be cleared up quickly. But once I'm back in touch, we're planning on moving as soon as possible. I'd like you to relocate down at the same time. I don't know if that's enough time for you to.
Yeah, I'm sure I can. It's not a big deal. I'm just paying rent here, so it's yes. I'll make inquiries.
Excellent. Well, I will speak to you soon, and get ready for London.
Goodness.
Excellent. Well, I will speak to you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye. And he hangs up. And true to his word, over the next few days, someone does come that speaks to you and provides you with information on Edmund's schedule when he's available next. And he also provides you with pictures of the flat that's been arranged for you down in London. The deposit's already put down. You're already sorted to go down there. Information on the rent, which whilst it's certainly higher than what you're currently paying, it's not outside the realms of possibility. Certainly not with what Edmund's paying you to provide him with art. And the excitement begins to build, because whilst it's a big change, and as you said, you're not a spur of the moment guy. It's closer to family. Your career only seems to be improving with every decision he's helping you make.
Yes.
And it's the big thing that you won't admit, but it's there. And it's maybe this is what you need to get away from whoever it is that is haunting your art. And after these details are all provided, or the rain work is taken care of, the notice has been handed for your flat, you move down. Although you do move down separately from Edmund. He goes down ahead because he has business to do. But he gives you the information on where he can be reached once you're settled in. He helps provide you with movers to get you down there. It's quite startling the amount of generosity that he's showing towards you. And whilst there might have been the briefest of moments where you wondered, could he truly be as invested in your art as he claims, there's just no limit to the evidence to the contrary. And as you finally find yourself in London, you are surrounded by people and places that are, well, perhaps not new, but they're refreshingly different. There's new kinds of people, there's new places, there's new streets, and you feel the inspiration from your art just beginning to return from. And the flat, it's bigger, it's furnished, and even though you bring down some of your stuff, the refrigerator, whilst it's still Spartan, you get the feeling that perhaps you feel that you don't feel quite so complacent with regards to leaving it as empty. I mean, the exuberance and it's new, it's different, and
I'm sure there'll be some kind of showing off to the family effort, inviting people over for a meal, trying to impress the parents, that kind of business, I would think. And Kelly, of course.
Yeah, there is a considerable amount of excitement that goes around when your family finds out that you're moving down. Your sister sounds a bit surprised that you're moving down, but there's clear excitement there. And from the time that you've spoken to her, she's obviously progressed slightly along in the pregnancy. She's while she's still working, there's more and more that her husband is becoming a bit more protective over, and don't do, which is frustrating your sister considerably, but she's taken it in the patient stride that she does with everything. And as soon as you mention where you are, they come up and visit, they spend time there. It's good to see them again without the pressures of how long you can stay, how long they can be there. And in particular, it's good to see your sister again. And she seems sincerely happy that you seem to have found your feet, and you look better, you seem more in yourself. And it just... It's good, sire. So, how do you spend the initial period of your time in London? What kind of things do you do?
Well, I imagine that I will probably do things like see a lot of the sights. I imagine being him, he'll want to go to places like Trafalgar Square, I suppose, where there are lots of people in a natural environment. He'd probably also go to some of the museums, and obviously the galleries and the Tate and places like that. I can imagine him. I mean, I imagine he will happily bimble around, taking in various inspirations, and probably as well for him being a bit more outgoing and a bit more confident. I think he has drunk the Kool-Aid a bit here. So. Yeah.
It's going to these places. It's regardless of whether or not you find it inspiring, it's refreshing, and there's a lot more there's a lot more inspiration that kind of builds out of it, and you feel yourself wanting to go back to this art. And as you go back and you begin working on your pieces, you feel more confident with what you're producing, and there's some people in them. There's a lot more crowd scenes, which is what you tend to deviate towards anyway. But these are new places with more people and identifiable immediately based on the landmarks, and you finish them and you look at them, and it's only after a second glance that you realise that he's there. He's still there. But you don't remember painting him. You don't remember seeing him. And there is no reason why he should be there. This is London. He shouldn't be there.
So I suppose I suppose I will probably speak, because Edmund I've spoken to about this before. He knows about it, so I think probably he is the person I will go to when I realise this.
Okay. Edmund, true to his word, is fairly busy since he's moved down. But as soon as you make one or two calls, and they're told that they'll pass along the message, and before long he does call back. And whilst he doesn't discuss it over the phone, he provides you with information on where you can go and where you can see him at his gallery. And you make your way down there. It's relatively easy to commute from the flat.
I'll probably be a bit more kind of looking over my shoulder than I have been. That sense of ease has probably gone a bit.
And you do keep a very good eye as you move through London, and it's a bit more unnerving in an ironic sense, away from the newness that had gripped you before is suddenly now working against you, in that you don't recognise these places, and everybody here looks alien almost, because there are faces in where you were before that you recognised, even if you didn't know the person. But here, everybody is new. Everyone's different. Everyone could potentially be this indistinct figure in your paintings, and you hasten quicker and quicker as time goes on towards this gallery, which, in its illuminated state, is very welcoming to you. And as you step inside, you're immediately admitted in, and you find Edmund, who's busy speaking with someone as they're arraying the art inside, and as he's getting the place to his normal kind of elaborate standard. And it's clear that it's been running for a while, but now that he's here, it's kind of picking back up. And you notice absently as you're moving across, there's quite a few bits of your art still here. There's a few bits that are still packed, that are going to be emptied. And the moment he sees you, he immediately ushers you over and dismisses the person with an absent wave that he was speaking to, who just moves off. You sound concerned.
Oh, Edmund, thank you so much for letting me come to see you.
No, not at all. What's wrong?
Well, I've been working, obviously, since I've come down, and I've been very excited about what I've been creating. I've been looking forward to showing it to you, actually. And I was examining the work, and he's there. The figure from before, he's there. He's in the paintings here in London. I don't understand how, but he's there. He's. I mean, I don't remember painting him specifically, but of course, you know, part of it you remember details, and some of it you just, where you kind of hold in the back of your mind, and they kind of appear on the canvas, and somehow he's appeared again, and I don't know. I everything feels different now. I wanted to come and talk to you because you always know what to say, but I don't know what your advice is. I thought we were shot of them. I thought this was gone. It was an issue of Scotland, not London.
walk with me.
Of
Edmund's moving through with you at his side, and he seems deep in thought as he's just moving. People are just moving out of the way around him, and he leads you towards one of the rooms that he opens, and it's a small, comfortable kind of sitting room for him. And he leads you in, and he sits you down, and then goes over to one of the kind of transparent container with water and just pours one, and then just hands it over to you.
Oh, thank you.
And then he says, "So tell me about this piece."
Well, I've been working on a couple, but the one that I was excited about was the Trafalgar Square piece, because the thing about Trafalgar Square is it almost doesn't matter what time you go there. There is life happening there, and anyway, it was I think in many ways quite a normal piece. It just that it had the kind of the history there, and it had I suppose a bigger mix of people than perhaps we've been getting in the other pieces, and I thought perhaps a fresh feel. But then he's just I mean, if I was filming it, it would be as if he was just slightly out of focus. You know, he's there. I mean, I know it's him. I just know it's him. But there's not. I couldn't. With some of the people there, I catch details, maybe a hat or something about their stoop or something that I don't know that brings them to life on the page. This is like a smudge, like a smudge in the shape of a figure. But it's him. I know it's him. I know it, and most of the figures in the pictures there, well, their attention is perhaps they're in conversation with each other, or they're looking up to the sky in thought, or but they're looking out of the canvas. They're looking out of the canvas, Edmund. They're looking at me. I'm sure of it.
And he gets up and he begins pacing. I believe that you've seen this individual. I believe, as I do before, that he is here, and but this cannot go on. This haunting of you, as benevolent as it is towards your art, I care for your happiness, and this individual is making you unhappy, and that makes me unhappy.
Yes, and I wonder where it's going to go. I mean, it's one thing. I mean, there's no law against looking at someone in a public place, but what happens if it becomes more than that?
Tell me, when you paint, it calms you, yes?
Oh, yes.
Right. Wait here. And he steps out, and you're left alone in this room, this white, tranquil room, but it doesn't soothe you. But then when he reappears, he appears with a canvas for you and with some art, and he places it down next to you. And he says, just paint.
Well, paint
anything. Just paint.
All right.
Speak to me as you paint.
Well, I suppose. So I'll start work. One of the things that struck me on the way here was how. Well, I don't really know the city very well yet, and it made me feel quite nervous. But the gallery when I saw it was like a light at the end of the tunnel, or a refuge, and that's what I'll be starting to sketch.
He's just pacing around. He's thinking as he's listening to you, and he's just circling slowly around. And as he comes behind you, he just stops and just looks at your picture. And there's a long moment where he just kind of observes it, and then he just tears his eyes away and just continues moving. And he glances towards you whenever he speaks, and he's clearly like, he's feeling your agitation, and it's mirrored on his face. I said this cannot go on, but we cannot go to the police, because that is quite clearly not going to help you. But
I agree. I mean, what can I say? That there's someone I can't really describe who's sometimes watching me. I'd be embarrassed.
He stops and he sits next to you, and it's, if it were anyone else, it'd be uncomfortably close. It's almost uncomfortably close, even with Edmund. But he reaches and he kind of grasps you in the hand and just looks at you, and he goes, I think I have a way that I can make this stop.
You do?
I do. I mean, it's insanely obscure, and it's different, but it could help. And I'm not explaining it well, paint. I will. And he gets back up and he begins moving. And there's more excitement now as he goes. And
I'm certainly interested in any suggestions that you have. I mean, I don't know. I wondered about maybe a private investigator or.
No. They won't help. They won't help. Trust me. I've dealt with private investigators before. They're only after money. That's all they want. They want money. But keep drawing.
Sorry. Yes, of course. Yes.
And he observes. I have some questions for you. Some questions.
Yes, of course.
I mean, forgetting about this individual. If I could offer you safety, if I could offer you the ability to make your art transcendent and immortalized, what would you consider to be an acceptable price?
Well, I mean, you have already done a lot to make.
No. I'm not talking money. I'm not talking money. I'm talking soul. I'm talking personality and identity. How much of yourself would you sacrifice for the security and for the the immortality of what you do?
I mean, that's a
paint.
Yes. Well, it's a strange question to art. I mean, obviously, art is my life. I mean, it has been for a long time, and of course, I would give anything to be one of the greats, I suppose. And what you're saying about the soul, I think the soul is in art. There is something about the best artists capture something of the human condition, and I would. Of course, I would dearly love to be able to do that, but I don't really see what this has to do with this person watching me. Surely, if you help me to become better, they're going to become more interested, not less. I'm not saying I want this to stop, of course I don't. I mean, don't we need to deal with them, not... I don't know if I understand.
As you kind of stop and glance around, you realise that he's not pacing anymore, and he hasn't been as you've been speaking. You kind of glance around just as you feel pressure on. He places his hands on either side of on your shoulders as he's standing behind you, and he's just looking at your painting. What if I could give you the power to make this individual stop, and to give you that freedom and the capability and the chance to immortalize your work and to take yourself as far as you want to go and make everybody know your name?
I mean, that sounds magnificent, but
don't ask how it's possible. Just, would there be anything you would not give for that?
Well, I think I probably would give anything. I mean, if we're talking in the abstract, I'll keep painting. Yes, of course I would. I would want that. Of course I would. If anyone else was saying this to me, I think I'd be stopping this conversation. But I mean, you've been so good to me, and you really have made the impossible happen, really. So if you have advice, of course I'll follow it. If there are things you think I should do, of course I'll do them. I trust you, Edmund. You know that. And if you can make me feel safe, of course I want that. And if you can make me better at this, of course I want that.
And there's a long silence, and you realise then that the pressure's gone off either side of your shoulders. And as you kind of, there's a moment where you think, okay, has he gone? And you glance towards the door, and then you glance behind you, and it's only then that you realise that he's stepped back and he's just looking at you. And there's an odd expression on his face. It's almost sombered. It's almost contemplative. And then he steps forward and sits down next to you. You trust me?
Well, of course.
Are you happy, Benjamin?
Well, I've been the happiest I've ever been lately. It was only when I saw this figure again that it ruined everything. But up till then, it's been magnificent. It's been wonderful. I've never felt so. I don't know. I'm not good around people normally, and you change that. You make me. I don't know. And And you've brought so much attention, and I don't know, I feel valued in a way I've never felt. I've always wanted to be good, but you I don't know, you helped me believe that I could do this. It's an incredible gift you've given me, and you didn't have to do any of it. Yes, I can't quite believe I'm in London, to be honest, but you sort of made it happen. I don't know, you just sort of arrived and everything's changed for the better. What could I do but trust you?
The smile upon his face is quite immediate, and it's almost like the moment that you've kind of ascertained that you are happy. It's almost infectious. It's kind of changes his mood, and he kind of rights himself and lifts himself back up and places his hands back, almost encouraging you to just continue. And then as you kind of stall almost halfway through, just waiting for a reply, then I will help you again. And this time I will give you the greatest gift I can. And I do so because I care about your happiness, Benjamin, because I care about your legacy. Now, I have one request.
Well, of course.
As I give you this gift,
yes,
I want you to paint. And I do not want you to stop. Whatever this gift is, whatever it happens, however it makes you feel, capture it on canvas for me.
All right. All right. Yes, okay.
And his hands come away. And there's that stillness again. And again, you have to convince yourself he's still there. And you paint. And then, as you are about to continue the second set, there is suddenly a sharp pressure just goes straight into the side of your neck. And as your hand kind of flinches, a white hand kind of appears, almost reaching around you and grabs you by the wrist and pushes your hand back towards the canvas as you feel something bite down and break the skin. And the immediate sharp pain that goes through your body, almost making your arm spasm, just goes as it's replaced by a wave of euphoria that just spreads, and your eyes just begin to widen as whatever's happening, as your body begins to quiver and your arm begins to drip, and that other arm just holds it in place, almost kind of willing it to move. All you can focus on is this sensation just spreading through your body. But the hand is shaking your other hand, almost willing it to keep moving. Do you keep trying to...
I mean, I probably think that I've been injected with some kind of like really amazing drug to inspire artists. So I've probably done something like this in my student days at least once. Okay. So I'm gonna have a crack at painting, however bad it comes out.
I need a willpower check from you.
So that's just
your willpower score. It will be a difficulty 9.
Ooh. One success.
Holy crap. Okay. As the pleasure begins going through and your eyes begin to kind of blur and you feel yourself lulling back into it, and that's when you can kind of feel something physically behind you, although you're very, very, very scarcely aware of it. You realise that the hand that's coming around in the back of your mind, you realise it's Edmund. You recognise the adornments on his fingers, and you can feel his torso behind you, and you can hear the sound in your ear of slurping, but it's distant, it's very distant, and all you can feel is that pleasure going through you. But as his hand grips yours, almost impossibly, your fingers tighten on the brush and it moves, partially guided by him, but by and large it's you just focusing and just going. And whilst it's not normally as structured as your piece, it's there, and you can almost feel him staring over your shoulder at what this is, and the tightening pressure on your neck seems to intensify every time there's a brush stroke, and then it releases, and then it intensifies, and then his hand comes away from yours as you continue to paint, but then the strength begins to ebb away from your hand as you find your fingers going numb. And even with the intensity of your desire to keep going, your fingers just begin to relax and the brush begins to fall, and your arm just you can't hold it up anymore, and you're scarcely aware that you were anyway. As your vision begins to blur and you can feel yourself losing strength as you slide backwards, and whatever it is behind you, Edmund, or at this point you can't really remember. You just feel yourself sliding back as he's lowering you onto this chair, this long chair that you've been lying on. And then as you kind of drape and your fingers just go loose, the paintbrush just falls. And the last thing you can kind of focus on, as it blurs in and out, is the canvas that you were drawing, that you were painting on. And then you hear as Edmund steps around and then comes to your side and he grips you by the hand and just looks at you, and you can just focus and kind of, it comes in and out of focus, and he just stares. Now we begin. I will be here when you wake. And then he reaches over and just brushes your eyes down, and then the unconsciousness just grips you. And then it's a sharp pain that suddenly flashes through your body, and it's almost with a sharp, you kind of jerk awake. And it's not an intake of breath so much as it is an entire body spasm as your body arches up and off of whatever it is you're lying on. And it's darker in the room now than it was before. And despite the fact that the lights have been switched off, you can make out the edges of the room. You can make out the canvas close by that has been knocked over in the spasm that you've done, and it's fallen upon the ground. And you can hear people in the other room, even as you fight to take a breath when your lungs don't seem to want to inflate. And for a moment you think you're suffocating, but then you realise that even though you're suffocating, and even though that panic builds, unconsciousness isn't gripping you. You're still awake. You're still conscious, and you glance around, and you lift your arms, and as you kind of glance towards your hands, you almost expect them to flex and move so you can inspect them, but they don't. And then you think, and then your fingers flex, and then they unflex. And then you twist and inspect, and your arms are impossibly pale. And then, as all these sensations rush one after the other, the sound, the smell, the visuals of where you are, the sensation of almost being pitched off the side of this thing, and the sensation of being semi-upside down, a new sensation hits you, and it's immediate, and it's all-consuming, and it's a sharp, rending pain in your guts that feels like every part of your stomach is being twisted and pushed into an impossibly tight ball, and it's painful, and it's impossible to ignore, and just when you think you've gone in as far as it can, it intensifies, and it feels like in a split second you are dying. And as you kind of look around, your nostrils inflate of their own accord, and immediately your head snaps around towards the far side of the room, and you can see Edmund there crouched. And there is the woman that he was speaking to outside mere moments ago that was on a tablet. And she is unconscious and lying there with a shirt moved and revealing, and he's urging you. And against...
Oh, Edmund, I don't feel right.
Come.
I'll shuffle towards him. Something's wrong, I can't breathe properly.
As you're kind of moving towards him, he still urges, and you can hear what he's saying, but it's almost like a part of you can't recognise it. And the reason why isn't because you're not hearing it, but because you're suddenly aware there is another sound over his voice that is suddenly incessant and impossible to ignore. And as you focus on it, you realise it's... And your eyes go from him down towards this woman, and in the moment of panic where you're trying to realise what's wrong with her, is she hurt? What's going on? What's going on with me? Your eyes shift towards her neck, her revealed neck, and the vein, and immediately that grip in your stomach just twists, and it's almost enough to make your body buckle as you start moving towards her, and as you reach her, almost unwittingly, you twist her head even more to reveal it as you stare at it, and you feel a tightness in your mouth, and as your lips part, you feel a stinging sensation as your lip is torn from whatever is pushing down on top of it. And you bring your hand up, and as you touch your teeth, you can feel two very sharp incisors there protruding down past your lip. Drink.
Drink what?
I need a self-control roll from you, please.
Okay.
And it will be... It'll be a 3.
Ones cancel 10s, don't they?
Yep. Or one's cancel a success, but you still got 2. So as he's there and you feel the incisors and you can hear incessantly in your eyes, your gaze drips down towards that vein, and it's almost like it's protruded comically large in your mind, because all you can see is pale flesh and just this beautifully dark vein, and it's almost like a fixation point for you. But then your hands, which were still turning her head, just kind of release, and that pain intensifies and intensifies. But there's a part of you which knows that what you need to stop this pain is there, and it's there in front of you, and you know on an instinctive level how to get it.
I think I will be frozen in that kind of horror of what I think I'm about to do and what I,
Okay.
So I think I'll probably be almost like shaking with that tension of the two forces.
Okay.
For a few seconds. I mean, if the need, if the pain, I mean, I'm not going to endure the pain forever. If the need to endure it gets too much, I suppose he will go closer, probably without wanting to, but that kind of like, well, an inch won't hurt. Oh, that's fine.
And as you come closer, that your nostrils flare again unwittingly. It's not something that you're intentionally doing, because although it's something you're absently aware of, you've not been breathing, as you call, but in the wake of everything else, that seems like a minor thing. And as you're coming close, again, your nostrils flare, and every inhale is delicious, and it simultaneously makes that ache more intense. And as you bring your head closer, your lips brush against her neck, and the numbness that had been going through your body almost seems to vanish, and your lips are filled with the sensation of contact and warmth, and that smell, and that incessant smell, and that pain in the stomach, and that intensifies even more with the close proximity of this woman and that vein that you can see.
Oh, but he's going, it hurts, Edmund. What?
Edmund kind of lifts your head away, and then he looks at you. You know what to do. Bite. And then pushes your head down towards her neck. It's almost like it would almost be paternal in the way he's doing it if there wasn't such an urgency to the way he's guiding your head.
I mean, I still think biting a woman's neck is probably a little out of Benjamin's normal social activities.
Okay.
So I think he might make some kind of effort to resist.
Okay, then I need a self-control from you, and it will be difficulty 5.
1.
Okay. Your lips open, and as you kind of press down, there's that part of you that is, no, what is no, what am I doing? What am I doing? And just as you are about to pull away and you lift your head, Edmund's face, which has previously been excited and enjoyed, suddenly crestfalls, almost as though you've just done something terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And then he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a pin and jabs it into her neck. And as he pulls it away, there's blood welling, and instantly your eyes flush. And the close proximity to her, you feel all of those sensations suddenly multiply exponentially, and the smell hits you. And then before you can think, react, and try and push away, he grabs you forcefully by the head and pulls your head down. Drink!
And I think I will drink at this point.
And that is when it kind of hits you, and that there's a euphoric feeling, and your body feels warm for the first time since you woke, since before you finished your painting. And it's almost like there is a deep internal sensation of warmth and pleasure that just goes down every digit, down every limb, and you kind of reach out almost to try and push him away, but then your hands turn towards her and grip her and pull her in tighter, and you're no longer in control of your body. It's almost like you're watching it from a distance, but all you can focus on is the sensation and the pleasure and the pure ecstasy of what you are doing and how you are now feeling, and that tightness in your stomach abates, and it doesn't leave entirely, but it lessens. And for the first time since you woke, you feel awake and alive, despite the fact that you are currently not in control of what you are doing. And then all of a sudden, just as she starts growing pale and you are subtly aware of this around you, Edmund reaches for you and just wrenches you off. And there's the minute part of you that's aware that the subtle tears in her neck is just widened by the force.
Yeah.
But Edmund just doesn't seem to notice.
Yeah.
He steps over her as you begin backpedaling.
Yeah.
Your lips just damp.
Yeah.
And he just kneels in front of you. Welcome.
What? Edmund, what's happening?
Well, you died.
No, I can't have died. I'm right here.
Yes, you are.
Is she going to be all right? I think I've just drunk her blood, Edmund.
You did.
I might have enjoyed it. I don't.
How do you feel? Are you?
I feel a little in shock.
Yes.
I feel quite good for it, to be honest. But I'm not hurting anymore, and I feel awake, and but she's. I mean, Oh.
And
I thought.
Yeah, they'd gone.
I thought I had, but maybe I just imagined that.
No.
But
You did.
I've cut her. I've bitten a woman, Edmund, and she doesn't look well.
No, but I will sort that out. But she's not the concern at the moment. Look, sit.
Not?
No, sit. Look,
Right.
Trust me.
All right.
Sit.
All right. I'm sitting. It's fine.
And he reaches and pulls. He reaches over and pulls a lone chair over, and he sits in front of you. I think it's time we had a talk, you and I.
Yes. Yes. I don't really. I'm feeling all kinds of things, Edmund. I don't really know how to express.
Well, I think that after we've had our talk, then you can show me through the canvas, express yourself as you always have. But that's not important at the moment. It's you and this distress I've caused you, which I'm deeply sorry about. But allow me to make things right.
All right.
Thank you for listening to this special episode of Blood on the Thames. We really hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making them. If you want to watch us playing live and interact with the cast, find us on Twitch at 7 PM UK time every Monday. Follow us on Twitter for latest updates, but most importantly, thank you. We couldn't do this without you.